life. There we go. I'm the only one here at the moment. There's Lenny. I'm just going to sit here and crochet a bit while I wait to see if anybody's going to come and watch. I do actually have some things to talk about today. Something I'm working on. I've just started. It's from a book. If anyone wants to know what it is, I can tell you about it. Hi. I'm just working on this. I'm doing just the same thing across, so it's an easy enough thing for me to work on while I'm doing this. Obviously, if I was working on something with lots of reading, it wouldn't be great for doing this. I've also started putting together something that I started last year, so I might show that. And if anyone's wondering about the noise, that would be the dog. She's on the floor down here. It's pretty quiet, there's not really anyone here. Let's say crochet myself. And this yarn that I'm using is really nice actually. I got it in a swap before I started this channel. And so it's not a yarn I generally use. And I've never actually bought this yarn myself, but it's quite nice. It's Knit Picks. Oh, there. It's always a bit funny trying to figure out which way to go with the screen. But yes, this is a Knit Picks yarn. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and it's got this sort of colouring. I don't think it's showing up too well. It's kind of more green than blue. It's showing up very blue. It's supposed to be heller, so it's more than one colour, but it's got greens and blues for it. It's a fingering weight yarn, and the colour I think is Typo Heller. So might just be what it is, but whatever. That's what I'm using. That's what I have. So I just kind of have fans going along a strip. And it's out of a Knit Picks collection book. This book. I don't know where you can find this book, but if I can find somewhere, I will link it underneath after. There's what I'm making. So it's the Liana Charlotte, I guess. And this here is from the person I did the swap with. They put little notes through the book and connected it with the yarn that they sent, so that I kind of had things to make specifically, which is kind of fun. I've done one project out of it already, which is a cow. There's a couple of other projects in it that are also tagged that I haven't done. Hello, Modest Moon Gazer? I guess that's what I'm saying. Hi. There's a little bit of counting with this project, because what I'm doing is a single, then I have to chain and skip 2, and then I work 5 doubles in 1 stitch. Hello, Tracy. Wow, people are finally coming into the chat. So, this is not very interesting. Yeah, I guess you could say you love the color, but the color is really not showing up very well. It's a heathered color, and it's got greens and blues and kind of a yellowish hint to it, but it looks to me like it's showing up very, very blue, tealish, not really what it is. Take some pictures of it at some point and it'll show up better probably. This is what I'm working on, but I also have a different project sitting in front of me that I'm working on finishing, and I am trying to finish it soon. So the other project that I've got sitting is, yeah, I thought you did. This is a Granny Square 3D book. You can see all my tabs. Those are squares that I haven't done, and then I've got this one and this one that's scribbled on because I need to make 2 more squares to have enough squares to finish what I'm making, because 70 doesn't work into maths very well when you're trying to make a blanket. It's 72 does. Yeah. So what I've been doing with these squares recently, and actually my sister's been helping a bit because she's good at weaving in ends, is I've been making strips. So they're just kind of joined up as a long strip. But I have a whole bunch of strips sitting down here, and then I have 14 squares sitting waiting to become strips, because they can't be a strip until they have enough squares. Cool. Have a nice shower, I guess, and a nice morning. It's actually pretty late for me. It's not morning anymore. It's 3 in the afternoon because of where I am. So here is another strip. Now, none of these squares have got the exact amount of stitches along the sides, and none of them are exactly the same size. But there is a way for me to put these together and get around that. So these two here, you might notice it. This one with the cherries looks quite a bit bigger than this one. Now they're not superly different. There's 5 stitches of a difference. So if you were just sewing it together, it would be visible. But because I've done this kind of join, it sticks up and it kind of covers it up. So that's how I'm joining them. And then when I get to the edge, because obviously the squares don't have the same amount of stitches, I will be figuring out what the most common amount of stitches along the side is. So if one of them's got 20, one of them's got 15, whatever, what I'll be doing is picking the most common size and then making it be that many stitches along each square, because that's the easiest way to make it work. And I can see my sister's missed an end. She's also here at the moment. She's just sitting off to the side, so she could go and fix that end that she missed. So that's 2 strips. I have another strip here. It's the same deal. All the strips have been put together exactly the same fashion. It's just grab a square, grab another square, single them together, and make them fit. So this one's got a teapot, not a teapot, that's a cup. Teapot was on the other one. Flower, orange, one of my favourites, the frog. Which this frog also includes my own pattern, which is right here, this little fly. That pattern I wrote myself, and is available for people to use on Ravelry, but I've also just recently set up a Ribbler account, so that will hopefully be linked below, either under this video or my Tuesday video. Good morning, Nicola's Crochet Corner. I'm just talking about some squares that I'm putting together that I need to finish up in a few days. I'm also working on this random thing, which is a shawlette, which I started this morning because I wanted something simple to work on while I'm talking. Although there isn't a whole lot of chat, so it's mostly just me rambling away to myself. So onto another strip. I am going through all the strips that I have. I have this strip, and they're all 8 squares across. We have a star, pineapple, a dragonfly. These wings are very floppy. A fish, panda. There's a heart that doesn't want to sit right. Heart. Just kind of a random pattern, and then some flip-flops. That's another strip. I do have a bunch of strips down here. Should probably bring it closer so I don't have to stretch so far. This strip has a ridiculous amount of flowers on it. Wasn't intended, but I've ended up with a bunch of flowers on the same strip. So I have that flower, that flower, and that flower. Then we have a pumpkin. Oh, another flower. Another flower. A rainbow square. I can't remember what that one's called. And another flower. So there's a lot of flowers on this one. We have a lot less flowers on this one. There's a dog, some Easter eggs, turtle, rainbow, sandcastle. Actually, there's one of the ones where you can really notice the size difference. It won't be as noticeable once I put it together and it's held out nicely, but there is a considerable difference between this square and this square. Hi, Eleni. Thanks. How'd you like seeing the squares? We have this Sweet, who's one side wants to flop over. Sweet. I have a key lime pie. The square doesn't come with this, but I added a line that I found a pattern for online somewhere. And a jellyfish. I'm getting quite the mountain of strips next to me. That's all. I've got one more strip that's actually put together. The last of the squares aren't. Oh, Gloria. I'm happy you like the squares. Yeah, I know I do quite good work. So, I have an egg on toast, a bear. This is a raspberry. For some reason, I find a lot of people think it's a strawberry. It's a raspberry. This is a wreath. We have an avocado. This rather oddball square, which is a yeah, it's a sun hat. A llama or an alpaca, whichever one you want it to be, and yet another flower. This is all the strips, which makes a big old pile on top of me. It is ridiculously warm. And I do have the rest of the squares that are done. So I have a mouse with a big nose, and a waffle with some cream and a strawberry on it, ladybug or ladybird, a flamingo, a fox that doesn't want to keep his ears up, with very, very chubby cheeks, an apple, the sliced apple so you can see the inside, and we have a succulent, which shows its texture better really when it's at an angle. It's a succulent. We have a ice cream, and it's got cherry on it. We've got a textured one, which I'm not sure what this one was, just know it's textured and it's kind of very sticky up. Another flower. I think I got carried away with the flowers at one point. There's a cupcake, which has a tiny cherry thing on top. And it does have sprinkles that I meticulously sewed on one at a time, which was kind of a pain, really. I wouldn't recommend sewing on sprinkles if you were doing like a whole big blanket with just those. That would take a long time. You have a sheep, which doesn't want to stick his ears out, but it's a sheep. It has a little face. And it sticks out quite far as well. Another textured square, not quite sure what this one was. Just know it's textured. And the last one I've got that's finished is this lion. So these squares are what I've got left to join up, bar the two that I have to add. And because I have noted them, I could show exactly which ones I'll be adding. So the two I'm going to be adding is this bunny who has flowers on her head, and this bunny which has a bow tie. Those are the two squares that I'm going to be adding. I have started one, but it's just a white circle at the moment. Yes, I did. They're all from this book here. It's the 3D Granny Squares book, and it's got 100 in it. Once I've made the two bunnies that I'm making out of it, I would have made 72 out of 100, so there will be 28 left that I haven't made. Yes, there's a book. And it is available on Amazon. I can link it down below afterwards if you want to go and have a look at it. That's a big project that I'm working on, with lots of colourful squares. So what's the time for everybody else? Because for me it's 24 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. And I've noticed a lot of people say good morning, which would generally suggest it's morning for them. And this is the other thing I'm working on at this moment in time. It doesn't look like a whole lot at the moment. It's just shells on a straight piece. 9:25 a.m., which is definitely morning. It's early morning. Same for you. Basically, for me, I'm in a really awkward time for most people. I'm really early for some. I do 3 p.m. because it's generally a good time for me because it's not early in the morning, so I'm awake. It's also not early in the morning, which means at least some of those who do watch me would at least be awake. And later on is a bit awkward because when you get to 4 p.m., well, and it starts being, you have to figure out what you're making for dinner and stuff like that. And any later it gets darker. Like, not so much at the moment because of the good weather, it's going towards summer eventually, but it is kinda difficult to get good lighting later on, especially in other months. Because at some points it gets dark really early. 10:24. New York, I think that is. I'm getting better at remembering the 2-letter thing that states use. I don't know if we necessarily use that here. We just generally like say the place or the place it's in. Like I stay in Fife, but you get other areas. And at the moment, actually, if you notice, it's extraordinarily bright on this side of me. This is natural light from my window, and it's extremely white because it's grey outside. Like the sky is completely grey. I can't see any blue or anything else. It's just grey. So it ends up with very, very bright light. And then on the other side of me, which is generally always on the other side of me, is a lamp to try and balance the light out. It does help, but when it's grey, I end up looking either like I'm completely in the dark on one side or kind of yellowish and kind of very white. Kind of inconvenient. But it's the best lighting I've got, so yeah. New York as well. Cool. Yeah. So I've got a lot of things that I'm trying to get sorted at the moment because there's birthdays and things coming up in my house, which is actually what all the squares are for. Because well, my mum's birthday, her husband's birthday, the dogs, and my sister's, all in the same month. It's the busiest month for me. Luckily, mostly I'm finished with things, and at least one of the gifts I was making, I actually came up with the pattern. So if anybody would be interested in that, I'm thinking I might release it because somebody might like it. And it wasn't like a super difficult one, but it would also did take a little bit of thinking to get it to work. I'm starting to get along this. When I first started this live, I only had like 2, maybe 3 of these along here. And I have quite a bit. I still have all of this to go along because it's 247 stitches across, which is a very, very long. I had it triply checked. I chained it up this morning, counted it, and I had my mum count it. I think she actually counted it twice, and then I counted it again. Lots of counting. Usually my less favourite part is when there's a project that has a really long starting chain. especially if you do decide to do it with a chain instead of doing a foundation single, because if you've done chain and you're like really off on how many you're supposed to have, you have to take back the entire row you just put on top of it. If you do foundation single, you don't quite have to take back as far sometimes. Although I think it's better to be slightly over than under, because if you're over by 1 or 2 stitches, you can just kind of skip over them. But if you're under, it gets a little bit hard to fit it in. Yeah, so this is a really random thing to be working on. I wasn't even planning on starting a shawl anytime soon. The thing that I have been working on recently during my lives, I can't work on at the moment because I just run out of the colour that I was using for the part that I was working on. So it just kind of has to sit until I get some yarn for it. And I couldn't work on the squares because obviously I'd have to read the rules. That's nice, Eleni. Yeah. I really like doing 3D squares. They're a little bit more interesting than just your regular flat ones. And actually with this book you could tell I've used it a lot because it's kind of pulling up here. See that bit there? That's like the covering thing for the book, and it's like pulling off of the book because I've been using it so much. Which is okay, it's not like falling apart and losing its spine or anything, it's just getting a little bit well worked. I do use stitch markers every few stitches. You still have to double check that you went along right. Like with a really long strip, I will sometimes do a marker every 10 stitches. But if you accidentally miscount, like you've done 10, you've done 10, you've done 10, and then you accidentally mark one that's 9, you still have to check over and make sure you've got 10 at each place, and if you haven't, then you have to move everyone up and then check at the end how much more you have to add. This time I didn't use that many markers, I used 3 of them and just went to 50, then counted to 50 again, marked 100, counted to 50, counted to 50 again, marked 100, and then got the last bit. So basically it was counted in 50s, then marked, like it was marked for the 50 points and then marked at the 100 points, and then the last couple weren't marked because they were at the end. It's a very good thing to do using stitch markers. Yeah, I tend to try and catch myself beforehand too. It's kind of a pain to have to frog anything, especially if you go quite a distance without realizing that it's wrong. I've generally not had to frog things very much, but when I have, it's been rather frustrating. I've actually finished my crochet dress, and my aunt is sewing it together, but I did have to frog some parts because the pattern is like it's a good enough pattern, but being an older pattern, it doesn't always tell you exactly what to do. It just kind of goes, go and do this but over here, jump over here, do that bit, rather than being separate pieces. Like with the sleeves, you're technically doing the dress pattern again, but you're doing it for the stitch count of the sleeves. which makes it a little bit confusing when you're having to jump from the back of the book to the front of the book for the part that you're doing. It is finished and it's going to get fully sewn together. Like I do sometimes sew things together, but I decided it was a better idea if my aunt sewed it together, work on everything else. I've got lots of things to finish. And once I've finished all those things, I can start some other fun stuff. I've actually written a couple of different patterns recently. I'm not sure which ones would be best to release. I think the thing I was talking about for the dog would be a good one to release because it's not a seasonal thing. And I think people could make it at basically any point. And the other thing that could be released would be the peg bag that I just put together. And the only thing with the peg bag is I'm trying to decide which hanger is best to make it with. As you get different kinds of hangers, and some hangers have like cut out pieces, some have sticky up bits. I think a smooth hanger or one with the cutouts is better than the sticky up ones, because the holes I have found a way to like disguise them so you don't really see them once the item's finished, just while you're working on it. And actually something else I did today was I put my hair up. It's short, obviously. If you've seen like my last couple of videos, I did get it cut. My mum cut it a while ago, so it is short, but it's still technically long enough that I can braid it back and have a little small piece up. I did that today. It was kind of interesting because I hadn't put my hair up, like braided it in a couple of weeks. Because of it being short, I didn't really see the point. But it's nice. Well, I hope you will enjoy the book when you get it on Monday. I'm sure that will be fun. I've got a bunch of books. I've actually got more magazines than I do books. I'm trying to work through some of the patterns that I've got. If I make some of the patterns and they've been done, and it doesn't seem like I've wasted because I've actually used the patterns. And if you can hear pages of a book turning, that's my sister on the other side of the room. She's doing a sticker by number book. She wants me to show you. So this is her sticker by number picture that she's doing. It's a parrot. It's about halfway done. Looking pretty good, I think. So what is everyone up to today? You have like a plan? You just having a relaxed day? My plan is just doing this video crocheting and yeah, house stuff. Eleni says it's cool. Ellie. I don't know if I'm saying it right, Ellie, I think. Yeah, my plan isn't really very interesting today. It's just crochet, house stuff, and this live. And staying indoors because we had actually been going outside more and enjoying the nice weather, but the last 3, 4, maybe 5 days they've been wet, cold, grey. We've even had snow and hail, and it's almost the end of spring because May's the last part of spring. Oh, for this thing here, this is a 3.5. I'm just sticking with what the pattern asked for. It's actually one of the hooks out of my favourite hook set. And it doesn't have any markings left on it. It used to, that I have written on a piece of card in the hook case to keep track of it. That sounds nice, going to Hobby Lobby with your daughter. And then, like, all the other stuff. So you have goats, pigs, and chickens. We have chickens. We don't have any other farm related animals, but we have chickens. Technically we have 7 chickens. One of them's older, the others are all the same age. You don't need it. I think this is actually going together quite nice. I wasn't sure what it was going to look like because obviously I haven't done this pattern before. So I wasn't sure how it was put together. Let's see, this is the this is the pattern I'm working on at the moment, which is the Liana Charlotte. It's out of this Nitpicks book. We eat the eggs, use them for baking, breakfast, that sort of thing. She had eggs for breakfast today. They were good. Don't mind my sister banging about. She's just awkwardly sitting on the other side of the room trying to be quiet. It's actually quite funny. I don't usually have anyone in the room besides the dog while I'm doing my live, so this is different. I don't mind it. It's a bit odd, but I don't mind it. Nice. They eat their eggs too. Yeah. My sister likes watching channels that do farm stuff. You don't need to say which one. Yeah, she likes watching ones with farm stuff going on. She especially likes watching ones with goats. But she likes ones with chickens and things as well. Not really sure why she's got this thing about goats. We don't even have a goat. We have a dog and 7 chickens. Well, we're getting through the time. There's 15 minutes left of my live. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about before I go off? That sounds nice. I don't think I've ever done a C2C into a shawl before, but it sounds like it would be pretty. I have made quite a few shawls though, because I've done the like rectangle ones that are that shape. I've done the ones where you start at a point at one end and it gets wider. And I've also done like wraps where it's just a rectangle. This one I think turns into a sort of triangular shape. Yes, there are plenty of them. Yeah, I watched some of the videos as well too, but I generally am watching more crochet videos, lives, and I also like watching just some random stuff like colouring in and things. Basically just things that I like doing. And I watch a couple of gaming channels as well. Not that I'm very gamey, I'm like the least gamey person. Unless it's like a card game or something, I could do that. But like video games, I'm not the best at, unless they're really casual type ones. But my sister really enjoys them. I see. Yeah, I love shawls as well. There's just something nice about making a shawl compared to other projects. It's just you just kind of work a specific size or shape that it's intended. It's just once you've got pattern repeats, there are like 2, 3, 5, whatever. Once you've got down what the pattern repeats are, that with blankets as well, but they tend to get a bit too heavy to wear. Talking about making things, I'm actually tag, so there'll be a new tag. I'm thinking I might do the video next week Saturday, because what I do is I've been doing a live and then a random video. So I think Saturday's random video could be to do with that. Nice. I got some news a couple of days ago. Oh, oh, you're funny, Susan. So this has been a really, really quiet live stream. It's been nice. Nigerian dwarf goats. That's what she's talking about here. Yeah, so after this, I will be going, well, not directly after, like about half an hour after this, I will be going and making some dinner, which is, I think, supposed to either be rice or pasta with lamb. That should be nice. Yeah, I suppose you kind of do. I don't know why I specifically like them. I just really like the making of shawls. I don't generally use them most of the time. Oh, I have. I just don't generally. I really enjoy making them. I can't remember exactly how many I've made. Yeah, so I'm going to probably finish at least this row today, but I won't be working on this super closely because I'll be working on the other things. I'm hoping to try and get at least one of the 2 squares that I need to make done before my Tuesday video so I can show it. And then hopefully by the next one I would get it finished. Hi Ursula, it's okay. Yeah, it's 3 p.m. my time, which would be 4 p.m. your time, I think. Yeah. I've just been talking about a project I just started and about some squares. This being the project that I've just started, which is out of book. It's the shawl. This shawl. This is the thing I've just started. And the other project I'm talking about, which you'll probably love, Ursula, is granny squares. 3D granny squares. I've got a couple of squares that I have to make to finish this project. Only 2, so it's not too bad. It's not like I need to make 10 squares. I only need to make 2. That I can't even seem to be able to remember. That's the name of the shawl. Lith, yeah, nah, Charlotte. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but that's what it is. It's a really nice book, Ursula. It's fun. I've made 70 squares out of this book. And then obviously I'm making 2 more, so that'll be 72 squares I've made out of 100. There's some really awesome squares in it. This being one that I've had kiwi. And this is one I have made. It's a really awesome book. 8 things to make with some of the squares, which is fun. Like this teapot, it's a good. I'm making a blank. 70 square. I'm making a blanket and I need to finish it in for a week. The same color as what? Like the same color as this the square what? You're meaning this the color? I'm only using the colors that suggests the thing that's the square needs that color. Like the pig in pinks because it's pig. Colors I didn't necessarily do specific. I can find anything down here. Yeah, like the frog has its colors. There's plenty of other ones, like this snail. It's not specifically the colors that they want to. No, I don't have an affiliate link, which I haven't actually got around to figuring out how to do that. But that would be a good idea for me to do because I do link books and things a lot underneath my videos because I do want people to be able to use patterns that I'm using. So yes, that would be a good idea. Now it's coming up to the end of my live, about 2 minutes. So I hope everyone watching or anyone watching the replay is having a nice day. I also hope that you remember to do things like hit the like button and all that fun stuff. Okay, well, I'll look into that later on. Not necessarily today, but I will look into that. So I am doing stuff today, like cooking food. And just bits and bobs around the house. Cool. That's good to know, Ursula. I will look into that. And I haven't actually really looked into it before. I've heard about it a couple of times. I don't think I've necessarily looked into it as such. So, yep, the blanket is for my mum and her husband. It'll be on their bed or something. It's just something fun to keep warm with and look cute. So, yeah. Thanks everyone for stopping by, enjoying the live. Have a nice day and see you later.